Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters. It's time to get into Dia versus Maru. This is going to be a match to figure out who's going to be second and third, maybe even actually get the first place. I was told we have to go really fast. So guys, what do you think about the series?
I think it's going to be a very close series. Unfortunately, the top three is already decided. No, let's not do that.
Can't keep up, I'm sorry.
What's the main series? Dia versus Maru. Of course, this match is important because both of them can still technically win this group.
Yep.
But it's kind of in the hands of TY. All that TY needs to do is take one map of his good friend Special, and then TY will have a lock on that first place.
That's right.
But of course, second or third makes a difference as well.
Maynard.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Thank you very much. It's time now to get into our series. It's going to be Maru going up against Dia. What's up, guys? This is Tasteless and Todd. I'm super excited for this match already, man. Here at day 3 of the Intel Extreme Masters, we have had so many killer games.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Very high-level Protoss versus Terran, and it still matters. Despite both of these guys already being through that group, the ranking's very, very important, you know, deciding who you could be playing potentially. And I think they both still have a chance, technically, at making first place, which would mean that they have to play one round less into the next round, but it's very unlikely because TY has been on fire, and if he wins even just one map against Special, then he's the one who takes first place for sure. So I guess like they can't really be thinking about that. Like obviously winning gonna be the most important thing on their mind here between one another.
Well, I mean, you make a good point. It's not just about not getting eliminated. It's trying to take the best path for survival. And look, I'll be honest with you, I think this is going to be a tough match for Deer. I think Deer's a great player, but I do think I'm certainly not in the minority on this one, that his opponent is just on another level. It looks like we're actually about to go into this match. Guys, tell your friends to join us here at the Intel Extreme Masters. We are almost halfway through this event. Todd, can you believe that? 6 days of Starcraft 2. I am loving it. We start out with so many people, and we eventually whittle it down for those final 2. And I think one of these players, Maru, might actually be that guy. Down here in the bottom right, in the blue, he is Maru. His opponent here in the upper left, in the red, he is Deer.
Still got everything to play for here. Again, a higher rank in the group going to be potentially very important. Starting off with a pretty cool pylon here in his main base. If you wanted to, could very easily wall off here that area to prevent a Reaper from getting into there. Going to be going for the quick scout, whereas Maru kind of skipped that by the look of things. And both players, for the most part, opening fairly standard. We do have the gas here for Maru, so not going to be doing something like a gasless expand, which at this age in StarCraft would almost be like the crazier things that we don't really see too much of anymore.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things we could see a little bit out there. Sometimes it is good to bring back a more obscure old build because people stopped using it. It's more passé. And
look at that probe, man, doing so much damage. Is this Huck playing or something?
It's definitely at least top 3 control, is all I could say. I mean, already though, coming here and getting a quick glimpse as to what exactly Maru's up to. We do see Deer is taking that Nexus now on the low ground. We're still waiting for that cybernetics core to finish so that we can really delineate what direction Deer is intending to take this game. And from Maru here as well, we see a CC on the low ground, and he needs to get those Marines down there, Todd. Or
yeah, actually, he's trying to trap the probe. He's trying to pretend that he went for a Reaper so that the probe will go up there and then die from the Marine. But Deer, not gonna take the bait.
The mind games. The mind games are real.
He technically could have trapped that, I think. if he went on the left side and then made sure that the probe didn't leave, but then he could have headed into the main because he wasn't sealed off yet.
Sure, yeah.
So he's a few steps ahead. Not quite going to pay off, but he did prevent a scout up that ramp and the timing of that factory.
So we've got the Twilight Council starting here now. That Nexus is nearing completion here. And of course, Deer going to have the Stalker out here to try to gun down any further scouting on the Terran side. So at least to start things off, this is a pretty standard TVP. It's what we would expect. This is like a game. If you wanted to copy builds, these are good builds to try to copy. So I was curious about that because sometimes, you know, with these players, they'll really try to pull out the mind games to throw one off, and maybe we'll see that later on. But for now, this sizes up to be a macro game. We do see Blink on the way here now as well.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Deer, he's been so impressive here. I think he caught a lot of people by surprise, which shouldn't really be the case, right? He's always been very high up there in terms of being a very good Protoss. But I mean, looking at the group, like a lot of people were kind of hopeful for even Special and Showtime to have a little bit of a better showing. Gumio is a fantastic player that usually goes far in this kind of tournament, but Deer shut all of that hype down so far, and now he's even in contention for a potential first or second place here in this group, which, thinking about that, like he's definitely showed up here in this very tournament.
Yeah, he's definitely delivering here. He's also delivering Cyclones towards the front of Deer's base. We see them coming up here right now. One SCV as well as 2 Marines. There is a shield battery that just finished up here, but he's got to be careful here. The battery is healing the Cyclones for now. 1 SCV here to repair. So far, pretty good kiting here on both sides. It looks like actually, whoa, he could have lost that Cyclone. And just as the battery's energy has diminished, the 2 Stalkers managed to gun down that last Cyclone, but it's not over yet. These Hellions now barreling into the main where the probes are undefended.
Yeah, the additional gateways for Deer here finishing a little bit late. Let's see if he can somehow micro his way out of this one, because the more probes he loses, the worse it is going to get for him here.
Oh man, another volley on these probes, and he could lose even more. 7 down already, and it ends with 8 kills. A really good attack early on here from Maru. Deer is going to be limping into the mid game after an attack like that.
He underestimated the attack, I think. When he first saw the units, he needed maybe to pull back a little bit quicker, maybe try some sort of wall off, but when these Hellions showed up, they were the real damage dealer. The initial units were just there to weaken the Stalker count, and when he reduced that to 1, it's just so hard to defend against that many units, in particular 2 Hellions with just 1 single Stalker. They're just not fast enough, and they don't do enough damage against 2 Hellions. So great job by Maru. Like, this is definitely a very good build, I have to say. Not many Protoss builds will counter that textbook. Like, maybe you would have needed a wall and earlier additional gates.
Yeah.
They finished just right after that rush ended.
You know what's funny about it, Todd, is that he almost lost the Cyclones right away. Like, imagine had those Cyclones lasted any longer there. The amount of damage that would have been, output would have been crazy. I wonder, what do you think? Would it have been better to maybe bring 1 or 2 more SCVs, or is it really, the rush is not intended to do that much more, so you just want to try to get the bare minimum to maybe crack open the Protoss?
I think the Cyclones served their purpose, which was to make the shield battery use all of its energy and then reduce the Stalker count, which when it was reduced to 1 and 2 Hellions going to the main base, as a Protoss player, I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is going to hurt. Like, I knew he was going to lose a bunch of probes.
This is not good.
Sure enough, he lost 8. The transition is interesting from Deer, actually. He's going into 1-1 upgrades, Immortals, and Charge Lots straight away, nothing else. So he might be going into something like a Templar Archives and Storm momentarily. I think that's one of the best things that he could do there with the quick 3rd base that he's getting. Whereas Maru is committing a lot to getting a ton of units out on 2 bases, which basically means that he's going to do a giant push, usually around the 3rd base of the Protoss player, using the right-hand side alley of the map here. Yeah, basically right through there.
Yeah, this is definitely a good location to push through here. I think Deer is cognizant that this is probably going to happen, but I think this is a match where it's not like knowing is half the battle. You know, because of the damage that Maru did early on, Deer should be in weakened shape for this follow-up push. Now, of course, sometimes it will just come down to the execution of the push itself. But by the way, Observer spots these 2 medevacs picking up.
He struggled to pick up there for a little bit. What is this, a drunk pilot? Maru is doing. Maybe he realized there was an observer there.
They're doing donuts, spinning the medevacs around. Well, this is where the build can basically begin.
Oh, this is so sick, by the way. There's 2 observers. There is a backup observer just right above this.
Oh, that's right. Well, you know, it's so important that Deer knows the movement here.
Yeah.
You know, especially someone like Maru could insta pick up and dive in on the main. Now we see the medevac being targeted. Nice job there by Deer. Now only one medevac with that group. That's a lot less healing.
Yeah, all Deer has to do here is make sure he warps in Zealots consistently. Already having Charge and Blink will be quite neat here in those potential fights. He has 2 Immortals as well, which is going to help so much against potential tanks. Marauders as well. And he's buying time nicely, actually, with those Blink Stalkers. Loses one. Needs to be careful not to let that happen too much. But 78 army supply for Maru, 60 for Deer. This could have been a very strong timing, but actually Maru, it looks like he's kind of chickening out because all of the time that's been bought. So he's going to pull back for now. He might want to start getting rid of these observers if he wants to really be effective.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not scanning his army. It looks like he's just trying to figure out the army placement. He's going to find that out now as Deer continues to try to push in here. Maru with some great arcing. I don't think he's necessarily forced to turn around, and this is what I'm talking about. This is very Maru-esque, but the observer spots it, Todd. We see actually they're headed northbound now, but these Stalkers might be in here to intercept.
Ooh, good reaction by Maru, dropping down upon seeing those Stalkers coming in. He's also splitting on the right side to try and hit the third base at the same time, but Deer saw that with the observer. Dispatches the Immortals.
Yeah, he's got just the right unit comps in the right locations. By the way, Maru actually winning where that ambush that happened up there, and he might continue to push forward. These Stalkers are getting pretty badly beaten up.
Yeah, they can fight by themselves. He's going to need Zealots here to reinforce in that location. Going into Storm now. Now, because it's been a pretty aggressive game here by Maru, it's going to be hard for him with the delayed third base to properly take into Ghosts. And also, he doesn't even know, I think, about that transition yet. He hasn't scanned the main, so he might think, Colossus is also another possibility, which is a completely different counter that you then need. So far, Maru is mostly focusing on the upgrades. He's grabbing an armory to start +2 attack there eventually, whereas 2-2 already started for Deer. I like Deer's position here in this game. With his upgrades on the way in Storm, and no sign of any counter from Maru, if Deer doesn't take any damage here in the next few minutes, he's going to be in a great spot.
Well, let's see how this drop goes first. We see the medevacs coming forward again, the Immortals and everything else.
Recall?
Pretty far away.
He recalls.
Robo goes down, and does Maru just pick up from here? I think he has to. In fact, if he doesn't do this quickly enough, then these Stalkers can gun down the medevacs. So nicely done there. A good interruption over on that side of the map, and it looks like in the last possible second, Deer with a little warp in to stop any pokes over here. And I gotta say, to what you were saying as well, Todd, Deer's playing a really good game.
Yeah, losing the Robo is unfortunate. I'm hoping for him that he will make it in a better spot, but it's not like he was going Colossus.
Right.
He's going High Templars anyway and Storm, so he still has his gateways to go into full production for that here momentarily. Across the map, I see something. Okay, yeah, he did send a Zealot there. I don't see the SCV lost tab on the left-hand side, so he might not have killed much, but he definitely bruised a lot of these guys. I saw a lot of low HP SCVs, and now Deer, all he has to do is focusing on the defense on the third base and in the main base, which right now is doing super well.
Okay, Maru's actually going to push up here. Keep in mind, upper left side of the map is the Deer's main. Far upper right is the newest expansion, and Maru's really exploiting the distance between these two locations. Oh man, beautiful storm there. Widowmine's going down. It's a little bit of a thin defense for now, but with these additional storms, it's possible that the other reinforcements might be able to get over here in time.
God, that warp in was so bad. That was like 5 Stalkers that got blown up by a single Widowmine detonation. Now Archon's going to reinforce on the right-hand side. Maru's trading very well. That's what Maru does best, just fighting with bio-heavy compositions, including a lot of Marauders, and trading even when there are Colossi, even when there are High Templars. For the longest time, Maru was one of those guys that always did so well.
Sick denial there, shooting down the pylon. The third base will go down, and I think this game is beginning to seesaw into the favor of Maru. Deer might try to get an interception here. Actually, I think this would be a bad move. Is he, okay, he's going to go right into these mines if he's not careful.
And Maru has got Ghost now. He could actually try and hand it with just this massive army that he's got. Look at the army supply, 101 to 64. Despite being behind on upgrades here, Maru's doing so well with this army. Remember all these games that Maru played where he was facing Colossus Stalkers and he would just drop all over the place, force an engagement from Protoss, and then come in from like a 360 angle and just crush the Protoss army using the units that he had everywhere coming from the map. So he's just so good at this style, dropping all over the place. Is really his comfort zone, and he's been able to find some damage here.
I've casted a lot of Maru games, but this is some of the most impressive harass. He knows exactly when to get in and when to get out.
Yeah.
He's really not overextending, and this is beautiful.
Okay, that Robo is dead.
Yep, that's it. Get your Robo dead punch card out here, because that's, is that 2 now? So that means that the third Robo that gets killed, the fourth one's free.
And
that's how that works.
And that's the time actually where it's really bad to lose the Robo, because Deer would like to be going into Colossus because he's facing Ghost. You don't want to take on Ghost without Robo units. You need some Immortals, you need some Colossi. So this is very bad for Deer here. I think Maru might just momentarily hit a timing where he's going to have so many EMPs to deal with this army that he might just wipe Deer off the face of this map. But then again, there is always the question of how many storms can land.
Right.
And there is always a chance that if some of them lands massively on this Terran army.
Oh my God, big EMP there. And it doesn't look like Maru's slowing down. The Ghosts arcing out. Immortal scrambling to get to the back. Another beautiful storm there by Deer, and Maru eating a lot of the damage on that.
Yeah, he's running out of storms though, which I think is what Maru is counting on across the map. Still waves of Zealots running to that third base, kind of forcing Maru to be looking back at home. High Templars coming in from behind. Oh, they don't have the energy, I think, yet.
They actually can't do anything. Those are fast dummy Templars right there. As you can see now, Maru continuing to do a lot of damage, and it's beginning to snowball. Only the Immortals in the Storm are allowing Maru to stay in this game. Deer to stay in this game. Maru continues to push forward. The Warpins are not bad, but Deer barely holds on. Whoa!
28 SCVs have died on the other side of the map, and Deer with his counter-attack forced Maru not to be looking at his main army. That's how he landed so many storms on top of it. What is going on? This is such a sick game, and it hasn't even gone on for that long just yet. So many units have died. Yeah,
we're just now getting to 14 minutes in this game. That completely changes what's happening now that we see that bottom base was destroyed. I'd actually say that if Deer survives the next attack that I think is inevitably going to come here from Maru, I actually think Deer does take this game because he will have been mining for longer. I also don't see Maru making any plans to reclaim that base right now.
It's very hard for Maru to replenish his army now because he's only got 32 walkers to 65. I wouldn't be surprised if he flew his main orbital to a new base, but essentially this is the one army that he makes something. Yeah. He needs to make something happen with.
He's got to make this count right now.
It's going to be important.
Okay, here we go. They're bunched up and up. Good EMP right there.
I think there's a Prism coming in from behind with some High Templars in it next to the army of Maru.
Oh, here we go. But there's Dynamites! Oh my God, beautiful storms there. And that is going to be it for that attack there from Maru. Deer continuing to grow right now. It's 140 to 100 supplies. Zealots continuing to mow down SCVs. In fact, it's 65 probes to 23 workers. And there's a chance that we actually see Maru tap out here, as I don't think he can stop the onslaught of Deer. GG.
Very well done by Deer. I thought he was out of it, stayed focused. That counter-attack with the Zealots really what made Maru look across the map just for 1 second. And then if you get stormed right in the face, right on top of your army, 4 to 6 times, usually it's not going so well for you.
Yeah, it really is. I think there's a chance for a comeback. I think it's actually pretty realistic. But I have to say, I mean, Deer really beat Maru in a pretty complex PvT, one that actually Deer, he took a beating early on and still managed to overcome, in my opinion, some of the best harass and counterattacks I've seen from Maru ever. I mean, Maru looks to be playing, you know, an S-class game, but Deer just had the patience. He kept deflecting the attacks. He got to where the Templars were. He did a brilliant attack down there with the Zealots at that southern base, and it seems almost like Maru didn't catch that in time. I mean, especially with the command center actually being destroyed.
Maru tried to be in too many places at once, I think. If he had just lifted the command center down there, transferred the SCVs elsewhere, and not looked at that base anymore, and just focused on the main attack, he might have been able to win by landing the right snipes and EMPs. Right. Because that was really Deer's only chance to land so many perfect storms in a row, and he did just that.
We now move into game number 2 here. Maru versus Deer, Terran versus Protoss. Right now, Deer is up with a 1-0 lead. Introducing our first player here in the bottom left, in the blue, he is Maru. His opponent in the upper right, in the red, he is Deer.
This is the real difficulty in this kind of matchup where Maru played a beautiful game. He was going for the right attack. He made the right units to go against the High Templars. But the one time he's not looking at his army for 1 second, it's a very unforgiving matchup where High Templars can just get you out of it, get you out of there in one instant, just like that. So
yeah, when it comes to Psystorm, you have to be ready before the Templars are ever close to getting off the perfect storm.
The difficulty level to make sure that no High Templars, come in from behind, because again, that was the Templars from the right side, again, that kind of came in and stormed his army, or even the Prism could come in from any angle.
Yeah.
Almost like a horror movie at some point. I know, Terrans, right? Like,
the killer is inside the house. No, I mean, it's true. I mean, you only have so much of the map you can see on your screen.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can even see them coming, and there's actually not a lot you can do just due to the angling and maybe where your ghosts are at.
Yeah, splitting is very difficult. Landing the snipes and the MPs is also like, it's weird how that works, right? Us as observers, we see everything. It almost feels like Terran, when they push, they would like to have like a sensor tower so they could see these exclamation marks on the map kind of coming forward.
The Terran need to get a sensor tower and put wheels on it. Okay.
A sensory tank.
Yeah, a sensory tank. That can land or fly and fire nukes.
And just like with the turret, there'd be a guy inside.
That's right,
like
but it doesn't cost any supplies. Room. You know where that StarCraft 1, there's a man inside the turret? Did you know about that? Yeah. If you zoom in on him, you'll see a guy in there. Doesn't cost any supply. He never gets out. Constantly spinning to the right for all time.
That sounds like a not such a great experience.
You're like, I hope Mutas come and kill me. So we see a Stargate opening here, paired with a fast expand for Deer. Maru, we are waiting to see that factory get done. We're getting closer to seeing what the makeup of his end of the game is going to be in just a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool to see Deer play completely differently this time around, because he was playing with straight into Twilight Council last game. Maru's mining a lot of gas here, so we'll see what the plan is. Sometimes a Terran takes double gas like this, but they'll still just be mining, 2 and 2. But there it was 3 and 3 from the very start. So he grabs the tech lab on the barracks. I feel like a Raven might be in the works here from Maru, and we've seen those Ravens being used so well by guys like Maru, TY. Like, Raven right now, used by these guys, looks like one of the best units in the game. Yeah,
I agree completely.
Raven used to be that unit that you use and then you just send forward and then it dies after using one or two things. Whereas now, everybody got really good.
Yeah, well, it's funny, the longer an RTS is out, the more people start to figure out tricks and techniques, because you're completely right. The Raven was like, this is an auto turret machine that expires very quickly. Okay, so the Hellions are coming up here.
He's getting a tank, actually. He's Maru
And that's one way to do it, Todd. Just go right past everything into the main. Now the Oracle's coming up. The Oracle could do a lot of damage pretty quickly, and I don't actually know if he's going to get kills here.
Can we see what Maru has, by the way? Because he made neither Cyclone or Widowmine, which is the standard.
Yeah, he seems to be doing a much more kind of turtley play style here.
It's a little bit worrying, because obviously, if he has to face an Oracle, you need to have... He doesn't have much anti-air here right now. Obviously, Oracles don't do as much damage as they used to, but you can't really not make anything and hope that they're going to go away and not do anything.
Yeah, I mean, you have to respect the damage that they still do.
They might not be Void Rays, but they're still pretty respectable.
They're still a threat that you have to respect. Well, let's see. I mean, he's going to come into the main now. We see the one Viking just kind of out of range of actually helping. Now we're going to go into first-person mode here with Maru, as he's now seeing, okay, there is an Oracle here. And you know what? That actually went fine.
Yeah, this is a sick mind game where, Maru had no defense, because most Terrans, they would have a Widowmine in position.
Yeah.
Or Cyclones. And so Protosses, this is we're past the 4th minute, almost at the 5th minute. A Protoss will think that I shouldn't even go for an attack in the middle line. By the way, we just saw the music. He's listening to K-pop.
Oh my God, you're right. I was wondering about that. I was like, said it. I don't think the units say that stuff in my game. All right.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow, I didn't expect it to be listening to K-pop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure it was K-pop per se, but yeah, it was a Korean song. I just heard.
He's got his jam. Do you listen to music when you play?
Not always. I rather focus a little bit more. Maybe the game music sometimes, Oh,
I don't play with the game music on. I always got some kind of soundtrack going on.
Hey, if Maru's playing with music, everybody should.
Everybody, in the exact same songs. Maybe he's got a song in there in Korean that's saying, make depots and SCVs. He's like, that's right. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll win the tournament
Yeah,
thanks
yeah.
to this song.
Don't forget to drop his main. Oh, God, she's right. Anyways, and then these songs start getting banned, and then people are having if you play the song backwards, and it tells you all the builds you got to know. Anyways, in this game we see Deer booby trapping parts of the map, continuing to get upgrades here, and I have to say, from the early part of what we saw coming from Maru, it's kind of cool that he played around a very standard style, and Deer was really ready to watch out for Widow Mines and to not overextend with that Oracle.
Maru was so impressive last game when he started dropping all over the place, because here's the thing. Protosses know this is going to come, so they get ready usually, but it wasn't even enough. Like, Deer took damage all over the place. His fourth base got sniped. Like, he lost the Robo twice. It wasn't really that good, like all the stuff that was happening to him. The only thing that he had going for him is that he had Storm. But Maru did make enough Ghost to supposedly be able to deal with it. Then again, when we're talking about Storm, it's always hard to deal with that many high Templars.
So this is what happens if you make a command center in the middle of nowhere.
You don't listen to the song that tells you what to do.
Don't forget to defend the CC. So now the Oracles are going to get chased out. But yeah, sometimes when you see pro gamers do that, that's risky. To make it a command center out in the middle of nowhere. If the Oracles can come in and kill the next 2 or 3 SCVs to try to make that.
You know what I feel it almost is? Like, we saw a lot of Terran versus Terran, and whenever those games were happening, all of the 4th command centers, they were made on location. So right now, Maru is in such a comfort zone where he's like, I can just make that on location, but no, this is a TVP, and you're facing Deer, a very strong player.
By the way, Maru's now pushing out. It seems almost like Deer was actually caught off guard, and he doesn't quite have his army in an ideal position. We're still waiting for those force fields to come down. Brilliant play there by Deer. He actually does force Maru back a little bit. I think Maru might try to regroup and come in again. Another big warp in behind this. Looks like Deer wants to back up a little bit and wait for that whole army to merge together.
There's still a lot of force fields available. Like, you want to wait until that anti-armor missile expires. There it is. Deer's being very patient with this. He actually saved one more. I think he could have landed one more force field. Oh my god, the Oracle gets sacrificed to the Terran gods.
Yeah, he's got to be careful too. I mean, these Widow Mines, you can start to leapfrog him. Okay, here we go. He's stimming, diving on top. The Immortal's in the back, unable to do any damage. The kiting from Maru is sick.
Yeah, Maru repositioning perfectly here. The Widow Mines are going to connect, and he's got so much left over. He's trying to close out the show here in game number 2, but Archons are going to come into the rescue here for Deer.
Oh my god, I thought we were about to see GG, and then those Archons just slid onto the side of the screen.
They moonwalked into the fight.
That's right, and then they basically forced Maru back. I think Maru is still hungry to have another fight. You know, his army's actually pretty badly damaged. He might need to heal up before he does anything else.
I mean, Deer has such a quick third base, which is really allowed by the Stargate opener, that Maru knows that he has to do some damage here and there, but instead of trying to drop all over the place in this game, he tried to mostly push with everything on the third base. Deer was just too good to let that happen and taking any damage. So now Maru kind of goes back. And when a Terran postures the army here kind of like this to try and prevent the fourth base, there is also the big threat of dropping into the main base. And usually the reinforcements, they will go into the third base.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there it is. Boost right into the main. It's going to force a recall here potentially.
Okay.
Does he not have a recall? Oh, he doesn't have the energy.
Oh my god. The Nexus most certainly is going to go down. And I think just as the army gets there, Maru has the opportunity to then pick up and leave. We have another drop over here at the third. Maru hitting from every angle.
So much damage here with the Widow Mine connecting on some of those units, including a lot of probes. And Deer, just like in the previous game, is starting to take a lot of damage here from these multi-pronged attacks. And this time, he's not even on the opposite side of the map, counter-attacking with any waves of Zealots.
So that main Nexus was destroyed. I don't know if that's the biggest deal, since that was sort of a dried up resource location anyways, but Deer is still taking a lot of hits. He's now expanding out a little bit further, trying to stay economically ahead of Maru. Maru actually looking pretty terrifying in basically every engage that he has.
Ooh, some storms are going to start landing here. Deer looking to try and repeat the previous game.
Beautifully done here by Deer. He identified that actually Maru's ground army couldn't run south any further. There was a clip there, which meant those storms hit perfectly and did a ton of damage. And now, in this tug of war that was mostly going Maru's way on the map, Deer can finally push out, and I think there's a high risk for Maru that he is going to get crushed at this third base. In fact, okay, he's going to sack the position.
Yeah, he's going to abandon ship here. Deer's going to realize that upon arriving and seeing that there are no SCVs there. Does he go for it? He's got a couple high Templars here with his army.
At Deer in first person, I feel like this should look like Predator vision. Remember that movie? He's just like looking to kill. He's got the Terminator eyes.
He's got the laser.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
He doesn't quite
heat sensors. So Deer is going to try to come up here. Now, look,
Maru needs to paint his face with mud.
That's right. So he can't detect you. Look, Deer actually does not have to push up here. If Deer just holds on the low ground, he's fine. But I guess he sees an opening. He's storming down. The Liberator goes down. Another one comes back, and the CC might be taken out as well. And that going down now. Another warp in. Can Maru hang on? Another beautiful storm. And this appears to be the end of game 2. GG Deer 2-0ing Maru. What?
Great job by him. Wow, that was weird.
That was
the
sick.
moment he started taking a lot of damage, he landed some great storms. Even the Archons coming to the rescue were really clutch at the last seconds. And a beautiful counter-attack. I was wondering, like a lot of the time, the Protosses, they think about counter-attacking, but then they don't go for it, but not Deer. He was in Predator mode.
He was. He just took him out. And we're talking about games where there was no crazy cheese, anything like that.
He's like, oh wow, I really did storm your army there.
Yeah, remember when I stormed your guys, they all died, right? Remember that? Yep. Yep, trading energy for expensive units is pretty cool. Anyways, guys, we are going to go to a short break. When we come back, more StarCraft 2 action here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Intel Extreme Masters. We just saw our last match of Group A, and Deer came out on top over Maru with a 2-0. So first of all, congratulations, Deer. You're moving on from Group A. You're in second place. Prior to your matches today, what were your expectations for how things would go in this group? 일단 이제 2등으로 진출 확정이 됐는데 오늘 경기들 시작 전에는 어떻게 될 거라고 예상을 하셨나요?
아까 말했듯이 그렇게 테란전에 아직 개념이 좀 안 잡혀 있는 상태여서 만약에 좀 잘 풀리면은 그 무난하게 사테란한테 좀 이길 거라고 예상했고 아니면은 진짜 뭐 거의 전패로 탈락할 수도 있을 정도로 네, 그렇게 생각했어요.
So he says, I mentioned this earlier, but right now I just feel like I don't have a full grasp on my PVT. And so because of that, I thought, okay, if things just start playing out all right, then maybe I can do well against the 4 Terrans I have in my group. But that being said, I thought on the flip side, if it didn't go well from the start, I could even have a result where I just went out 0-6. So that was the thoughts that I had prior to this group. And Maru is someone you played recently in the GSL. Back then, he defeated you 2-0, but today it was the opposite. You killed him 2-0. So what was different today compared to when you played him in GSL last week?
이제 거의 지난주에 조성주 선수와 만났을 때 GSL에서 2대0으로 졌었는데 오늘은 반대로 2대0으로 이겼어요. 그래서 그때와 달리 오늘은 뭐가 좀 달랐나요?
제가 평소에 레더에서 굉장히 잘 하고 있는데 GSL이다 보니까 그냥 사용자 지정 게임으로 많이 연습했는데 그게 오히려 도움이 됐던 것 같아요. 그래서 이제는 그거 지고 나서 좀 깨닫고 그냥 레더 하듯이 편하게 하니까 네, 그게 이길 수 있었던 요인인 것 같아요.
So he says during the GSL, in fact, let me just preface this by saying during ladder, I actually feel like I performed very, very well. But because it was GSL, I think I almost overthought my preparation for how to play against my opponents. And because of that, I think that actually became my poison. And coming into today's matches, I just thought to myself, let's just play the way I normally do on ladder. And I think that was the sort of comfortable mindset that really aided me in winning the series against Maru. And now you're moving on into the round of 12. Are there any players that you want to avoid, or does your performance today in this really difficult group give you some confidence moving forward?
이제 12강으로 진출을 하셨는데 혹시 피하고 싶은 선수가 있나요? 아니면 오늘의 성적을 통해서 좀 자신감이 생겼나요?
오늘 성적을 통해서 좀 원래는 테란을 피하고 싶었는데 오늘 좀 잘해가지고 테란은 괜찮은 것 같고 그래서 근데 지금 연습하는데 옆자리가 도우 형이거든요. 근데 도우 형이 많이 알려줘가지고 네, 다음에도 도우 형한테 도움 받을 수 있게 네, 도우 형만 피하고 싶어요. 네.
So he says, originally I just wanted to avoid Terran because I wasn't confident in my PVT, but today because I had a group full of Terrans and I still did all right, I'm feeling comfortable against Terran now. And moving forward, I'm actually right now I'm sitting next to Classic, and I feel like I'm really learning a lot from sitting next to him. So I want to continue to do so. So I prefer to play anyone but him, and hopefully things will go well. So congratulations again on qualifying to the round of 12. Calaris, back to you and the boys.
Thank you, Smix. Yes, welcome back indeed, and congratulations really to the players that have now advanced from Group A, as TY, Dia and Maru, who had already confirmed their places before, now confirm their placements. We'll talk about that in a moment, but we do have still some updates rolling on in for the group and some of the standings that are going down. So we're going to start with Mr. Maynard, whose series is still active. What can you tell us about that, and who have you got?
Well, currently, as the score stands, we've got Gumiho on 1-0, and Showtime is making him work for a 2-0. That's for damn sure. He's it's gotten so crazy that the bases are so low that Showtime's actually taken Gumiho's side of the map. He's taken his own goal. He's taken Gumiho's gold, and there was a bit of a you know, this is Neon Violet Square and this is Gumiho, so this turned into a mech game. You know, he tried to make it happen. Showtime's been holding on and doing a lot of really great damage to Gumiho in this game. It's kind of, there's a composition problem for Gumiho right now because his carriers are out, and he does have these, you know, these Liberators with their, you know, +3 about to finish, but they're not amazing against carriers here, and he's trying to get Thors, he's definitely trying to get all these carriers, but Showtime's actually, I feel like, starting to run away with this a little bit. If the Interceptor count, like, there's a few carriers here that really need to be in this fight, but, yeah, it's really precarious, this game.
Right, yeah.
It's funny how Liberators work against carriers, because obviously attacking the carriers is something that you should never do because they have way too much HP. But Liberators are actually very good in dealing with interceptors, and of course carriers, if they lose their interceptors, they become pretty useless. But basically it's up to Showtime right now, right? I think it's safe to say that Showtime is in control of this game.
Absolutely.
He just needs to make sure that he doesn't take a horrible fight and loses all his interceptors.
Maynard, you're the Terran. Why are you so happy with... Oh, there we go. I see. Perfect. Killing off all of the SCV. Maynard, an unhappy boy as the fight goes down.
I'm happy to see my man Tobias do really well here. He's representing the WCS circuit. You know, he's not going down without a fight. No slouch here.
He's losing all his interceptors though.
Yeah.
But I guess all the Cyclones are dead, so it doesn't really matter. A couple tours showing up.
Also just casually 29 SCVs have died. Looks like a warp in maybe.
All the interceptors are gone. I mean, this looks like a powerful Protoss army, but the only thing that's shooting is actually the Archons. Showtime, maybe a cheeky recall? Or maybe not necessarily, I guess.
Stalker warp in. He's held back some Cyclones to the ground though. Oh, he's got a recall, wow.
These Liberators are flailing around as if they're being attacked by a swarm of bees.
Damn.
Yeah, so Showtime pulls back, but it's not with his tail between his legs. He still has a better economy, right? Like he's still got all the production that he needs. I feel like he can still run away with this. I don't know how Gumiho, like Gumiho's trying to make a huge ball of units, but he just doesn't have a bank, he doesn't have workers. Like this game's going to end soon, I feel. Soon TM.
Yeah, we can stick with this if you really want to watch out the conclusion.
I think it's about to end.
Yeah, so. It's not long. I think one more fight here, Showtime should come out on top, and Gumiho should have to tap out, I think.
Gumiho just doesn't have any money in the bank anymore. The fight was really good. I think as good as he almost could have hoped for.
Yeah.
But he just took too much economic damage. And he's still finishing off a couple of these carriers over here on the right top side. Does he get that one too? Yes, he does. But
I'm glad we're getting the emotional range of Maynard.
Well, I mean, we don't have player cams, so I'm sort of trying to do an artist's impression here of you know, how the guys are feeling inside when they're playing this game.
Yeah.
In the end, neither of them advance, so I don't think we're going to see too many smiles. If you win a game like this, it's more like, you know, save my honor. But in the end, both players obviously wanted to advance, but they didn't make it top 3.
Nope, that's true. That's very true.
Wow, this is actually kind of a... If Gumiho targets these carriers with his high-impact payloads, like he can actually kill these carriers, I think, maybe. Oh, never mind. Oh, baby.
Yeah, that's a lot of Inceptors for 2 Thors to deal with, especially. So.
Yeah, the Thors are to take down the carrier, though, not really to fight the Interceptors, I think. Especially in the anti-air mode that they were in. Gumiho's got like all these blue flame Hellions trying to go across the map, but, I mean, a warp in of a handful of gateway units should do all right against this, or even just like a fresh carrier.
There's no probe to kill, though. There's no probe to kill. I mean,
well,
there's one probe.
You can start working on the gateways, mate. You know.
I'm sure there's a couple of probes on the north side somewhere. Gumiho really doesn't have much left. There should normally be no way. This is also an orbital, not a planetary, so this orbital is going to go down. Yes, and with that, I would say the hopes and dreams of Gumiho to ever rebuild an army is going to die as well.
There you go. Wow, well played. Well timed as well, gentlemen. And that is 1-1 in that series.
It is, yep, going to game 3.
So, Rotterdam, you did have TY versus Special, correct?
Yep. Now, for TY, it was mostly important that he would win one map. If TY would win one map, then he would win the group, regardless of what happens in Maru and regardless of what happens in the rest of his games. Well, he did win the first map, which wasn't easy, by the way. Special really made him work hard for it. Special cheesed a little bit in the beginning. Got in a good spot. At one point, I really felt that Special was running away with the game, but TY wouldn't be TY if he didn't hang in there and got a couple of good fights and eventually turned the game around. And game 2 is no different. We can go ahead and jump into my laptop as I saved the last 2 minutes or so of this game for you guys. So Special once again opened up with a cheese. He opened up with a double proxy Reaper, just like Maru did. But then he actually dropped a very quick command center behind it, while TY canceled his command center immediately. So he sort of overreacted. And that allowed us to get into this game where Special's at 118 supply. TY only at 92, and especially the army supply. Look at this, Maynard. There's a Terran player by heart, 66 against 39 and +1.
Yeah, looks good.
Unfortunately, the drop for Special did not play out the way it should have. As he flies in,
oh my
Marines.
God.
Like obviously going this deep into the Marines feels a little bit awkward. He drops an interference matrix, but the biggest problem is these medevacs. Look, they're above the barracks. So this means that they're not actually all unloading. They're just a couple of Marines coming out one by one.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And if your units come out, I mean, this medevac still has Marines inside of it. If your units come out one by one, James, that means they will die one by one because you just don't have the firepower to survive.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel this is where TY really got back into this game, suddenly this army supply advantage that was massive for Special isn't that big anymore.
Yeah.
And economically, TY is now actually ahead in this game. And from this point on, Special kept being aggressive, TY kept defending.
Yeah.
And I actually think we saw the final moments we can jump out of it, because it went on for a little while. But the very first time that TY went for a big drop, the game ended in the main of Special.
Very good counter interference matrices as well on some of the siege tanks, denying some of that damage. So yeah, that's how it works out. And that basically concludes, aside from the one game that we have going on between...
Gumiho Showtime Game 3, yep, that's the last Group A game.
Aside from that, we have our confirmed results from Group A, and we know that our reigning, defending, undisputed world champion from the Intel Extreme Masters will be going through to the round of 8. So he has an opportunity. He's actually in the top 8 to be able to then almost defend his championship. That's pretty awesome stuff to see.
And he's also got 10 grand already from this tournament.
There you go.
Yeah, I love it as well, by, you know, the careful interviews saying, like, I'm not sure how I felt, and I really felt that the other players in my group were so good. He's the reigning champ, and he just went 5-0 in best of 3s. Like, I think there's only one man that we should hype up, and that's TY so far. Yeah, this was a really tough group with Deer and Maru and Gumiho. Don't let us underestimate him. And normally, Special and Showtime, on their best days, I really do believe that they can duke it out with these guys.
Yes.
But today, I think it's safe to say it wasn't their best day. This group turned out a little bit more one-sided than I expected it to be, James. I really thought it was going to come close and down to the wire in the final series. But actually, everything was kind of decided before the final play day started.
Yeah, I think that the group being decided as the way it was showed that our Titans here in Group A are out for blood in this first group, because the important, this tournament even I should say, is so important. Thank you very much, gentlemen, as that does it for us here for a moment. We're going to be starting Group B in just a few moments time as well, but before we do that, of course, we're going to be going to a short break here at the Intel Extreme Masters, and when we return, don't worry, because there's plenty more StarCraft to come.